from Iowa, then went to college, studied theater, and then
Is that where you got into, or did you always have the drive to write? And you started out as an actor or a writer?
Yeah, I started out as an actor. I didn't think I could write at all. I that sort of happened late. That happened in grad school. There was a program called No Shame Theater, which is sort of like an open mic night for writers or creators. So songwriters could go, sketch artists could go, stand up. You can do whatever you want as long as it's original and less than 5 minutes long. And so I started writing there. I formed a group with an actor who's been in a lot of stuff, DB Woodside, called White Boy Black Boy Productions, and then we did all these sketches.
Right.
And that's sort of where I got the bug to write. And then when I left grad school and came to New York, I didn't have the money really to buy new headshots. And I joined a writing group, a playwriting group, and then I have plays done ever since then. And
so you went from one form of rejection to another.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. It's like when I left the chef business because it was too stressful and got involved in production.
Yeah, there's no stress.
There's no stress in production at all. Right?
The seed of this conversation is the bar fight from Pound of Flesh. Right. But let's dial it back. Like, where did you get the idea for this guy who has to track down his own kidney on a time? Like, where did that come from?
Well, it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole concept of it, I have to say, I was just like, and I was upset about the description that was written on IMDb.
Okay.
Because it doesn't do it real justice. It's just like, oh, this, and the cliche story. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool.
No, it's really cool, right?
Yeah.
It's like basically like this hostage rescue tracker guy who he has to track is his own kidney. Yeah. And he's on a time clock because it's going to his niece, right?
Yeah, and actually that's sort of the impetus for it. I remember distinctly when I had the idea, in 2004. And there was all these movies about someone having to track down a kidnapped person. And I always thought, well, what if it was something else? What if it was something that you needed that wasn't that?
That wasn't a person.
That wasn't a person. And then
you had the idea in 2004.
And that puts a timeline on it. And then I wrote it in 2005. And then of course it was released in 2015. But it was very different in the beginning. It wasn't a martial art movie in the beginning. That's what's interesting.
Because the version of the script you gave us is 2013, so it was like 9 years before the screenplay. You said that was like the last one that you sort of had your hands on before.
Well, I went through a lot of drafts. I want to say I finished it in 2005, 2006, and my agent hated it.
Right.
And so I thought it was dead. And then there was a strike in 2007. And since I didn't have anything to do, I went on Trigger Street and I started. And Trigger Street doesn't exist anymore, but it was Kevin Spacey's company and they also had like a group where you could go up and get your screenplay critiqued if you critiqued others.
Oh, right.
And it's a really great way to learn screenwriting because you're going to read a lot of bad screenplays.
Right.
You know right away what doesn't work, which you guys are finding out now because you're reading screenplays a lot, right?
And we're trying to write some.
And you're doing some.
That come out like crap.
The best way is to just watch what other people do, and why does this work and why doesn't this work? Read great ones and then read ones that don't work and then try to figure out why. So while I was on Trigger Street during the strike, a couple producers saw the script and they wanted to get it optioned. It got optioned with the producer. It was originally set in Iowa, and
can we pause for 1 second for
Sure.
listeners? So when a screenplay is optioned, what does that mean?
It's basically a lease to own,
right?
And they're gonna pay you a fee to have the exclusive rights for a period of time, usually about 1.5 to 2 years,
right?
And that option fee, if it's like $10,000, for example, it's usually 2% of whatever the purchase price is. In the Guild, they have different tiers of it, right? Depending on how the script's budgeted. And so when they option that, if they make the movie, they owe you the rest of the purchase price minus that option.
Right.
So
it's like an advance kind of.
Yeah, in advance. Yeah. And they also lose it if they don't keep re-optioning it or make the movie. They don't get those rights back.
So they are gambling on it.
It's a little bit of a gamble, yeah. And then these guys optioned it and hooked it up with a producer who was a real D-bag, and he had a lot, and he went through some rewrites, and he wanted to set it in Spain, and he hooked me up with a Spanish director who actually I liked a lot, an art house director, but it was his idea to set it in Spain. And it was more of a team. In the early script was more of a team.
Right.
So it was a lot like.
Any particular reason why Spain?
Well, he was Spanish. The
Okay.
director's Spanish.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they had money there.
And the version that you gave us was in Brazil, right?
Brazil. So after
Yeah.
the Spain thing fell down,
Right.
I set it in Brazil, and because I kind of liked it, was informed because foreign country, because then it made it harder for Deacon to find what he needs to do. And then when Van Damme wanted to do it, they set it in China. But then after they shot it in China, the Chinese government decided they didn't want to set in China, so they said you have to change it to Manila, and or Thailand, one or the other. I think Manila.
It's Manila.
Yeah.
I always forget. So even though all the signs and everything are in Chinese,
Right.
it's
supposed to be Manila.
It's supposed to be in Manila.
We can't say that China has an underground organ market, can we?
No, we can't say that at all. Although they approved the script originally, so and Van Damme has an apartment there. He's huge, but that's sort of how it ended up getting set where it's set. It's just basically where can we make this, and
When you originally wrote it, you said before I interrupted you that it was set in Iowa.
set in Iowa, yeah.
And you said it was a drama. You said it was.
It was still a thriller, but it wasn't a martial arts thriller. There was fighting, but it was more along the lines of like Out of Sight, with George Clooney. It was really about that, and really more about the brothers.